Hey everybody, John Chow here with Cruise Addicts, and I'm being joined with DB of EatSleepCruise.com. And so we've combined forces of CruiseAddicts.com and EatSleepCruise.com, and we've got this wonderful live cruise chat tonight. And it's so great to be here with DB. How you doing, DB? You all right? Can you hear me all right? Well, we might have a little technical difficulties here. Looks like DB is frozen in space here. Let's see. We might have to sit there and get him back in here. Don, can you hear me? So we've got slight technical difficulties. But we're actually here to actually have cruise chat with you all. It's so great to combine forces of Cruise Addicts at CruiseAddicts.com and Eat Sleep Cruise at EatSleepCruise.com and combine those forces and get everybody together and just talk about everything we love, which is cruising. So we're going to try to get Don back in here. Hopefully, let's see what's going on here. I'm going to kick him from the studio and see what's going on here. Let's see here. I think he got fancy with the internet here, but there's so much going on with cruising right now. I was just talking to Mike Consoli of PlanMyCruise.com at Cruise Planners. He's an award-winning top agent, the top global producer for cruise planners with Viking. And we were talking about all the news about low water levels in the European rivers. And people, of course, get a little bit concerned about that. And they had a lot of questions. And we went over exactly, some of the misconceptions about that. The cruise lines nowadays are so prepared. I mean, this happens occasionally. Kind of like every couple of years, there might be a real drought. Just like any weather event, it happens kind of cyclical. But people were concerned about, they didn't want to be on a bus cruise. And we went and talked about that. Like I said, I'm still waiting for Don to get here. Let's see what's going on. And hopefully he'll be joining us soon. But it was really, really cool. We talked about it. And at the end of the day, it comes down to, not to worry about that the cruise lines have a plan. This is what they do. They prepare they have contingency plans for these types of things. And they leading up to your cruise, no matter what it is, be it a hurricane, low water levels, a weather event, they're always thinking ahead. Most of the major cruise lines actually have like an operations center where they look at weather. They have meteorologists that work for the company, and many different things like that where they actually can all work on those things. So let me see what's going on with Don here. See what happened to him. 1 second here. see what's going on. We need to get Don back in here. It's going to be really long. Don, where are you? Oh, there he is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I was just about to send a search party out for you. I just called 911 to the Royal Caribbean. I'm like, Don's gone. He's
I don't know what is with my internet and live streaming. It's like I'm 50-50. The same thing happened when I was with Sherry doing a live.
Are you on Wi-Fi or just do you have a
It was my Wi-Fi. Now I'm on LTE, so my Wi-Fi was giving like router issues. I don't know, but did I scare everyone off already?
I had a slight heart attack. My hair turned a little bit grayer, I think, too. But yeah, I know. Just talking about it, like anybody that does live stream, they always say you have to like plug a cable from the router. Like you can't go off for some reason you can't just use Wi-Fi. Like it's really, really difficult. You have to like get a plug, you know. And but you know, I go to the crib and get some plugs.
But so let's see how well the LTE works for a while. So yeah. So I'm here. So do you see the show?
I can hear you fine. So glad to have you here. I like cried a little bit. You'll see back in the playback. But we were just talking about the low water levels in the river and hurricanes and how the cruise lines have operation centers where they literally watch for any type of mishaps 24/7. And they're always planning ahead a couple of days. Like, is there a big storm coming? Is there a front coming? Is there, a drought? Is, whatever it has, is there a natural disaster? Is there uprising in a port? They're always thinking about these things. And that's why you might get a letter one day and say, we've changed plans. When you're on board, they're always looking at the big picture. They're always looking out for their guests. And that's why cruising is such a prized experience that we all cherish. And it's not by, it doesn't happen by accident. It's just a well-oiled machine where they do this every day,
Yeah, whether it's river cruising or ocean cruising, right? They have the systems and things in place to anticipate potential disruptions. And I think after like the last 2 years, we're all ready for those contingency plans and when things are happening. But yeah, I'm glad to be talking about. I'm sorry I missed that. I wasn't able to catch it because we know that is a big concern with river cruising, right? Especially with the drought happening in Europe. We were just in Europe, and I know that there's been some features on that. But I think hopefully that they, like you said, they have the number of ships. A lot of the cruise lines have multiple ships, and they have things in place to work on that. So
yeah,
we're a better place than we were a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and it's at the end of the day, I really, some people were talking about this, to each their own. It really is a personal decision. And a lot of if you booked like 6 months ago or you booked 2 years ago, you have a voucher, and you're trying to use those old bookings, and you might have just a lot of money on the table and you want a perfect experience moving forward. So you can cancel now and have that perfect experience, maybe no time. But like Michael Consoli said, well, what happens if it happens next year? And you also have to rebook it. You have to cancel and you probably got it at a lower rate 2 years ago or a year ago, or whenever you rebook these things, because things have been so weird with COVID. And those cancellation policies where you can freely cancel and get a voucher are pretty much all gone away.
Well, so, I was gonna say that I think many of those cruise with confidence or those flexible cancellation policies, those have all quietly, as you mentioned, disappeared. And I know we still have, I think, one cruise certificate left, or a portion of one. We had a big one, and then we applied part of it to one trip and another one. But yeah, I think you'd want to check to see your cruise line, whatever cruise line it is, what their current policies are. But anything you have done previously, you're right. Like our future cruise credit, I think Royal Caribbean and Celebrities, they no longer expire. They kind of extended it. And I don't know some other cruise lines, but I would think some of them are trying to push those out because a lot of them were supposed to expire at the end of this year.
Yeah, and I think his point was, okay, let's say you had a voucher for $1,000 and that was fine for a year ago or whatever, just for use a number. Well, with the demand going up, which Carnival came out with that news thing, that's one of the news things we can talk about, is they have their bookings were doubled what they were previously. So in the same time frame, demand is doubled. So we all know that with the higher demand comes a higher price. So that $1,000 that you have today, or for that present cruise, that you may cancel or you want to cancel at the last minute because of what have you, you might have to pay double, and now your voucher is worth less than half,
Those are all things that like Michael or other folks or a good travel agent with travel professional could advise you of and let you know. But yeah, I think things kind of still ebbing and flow. It depends what time of year, the ship too. It might be that you were going to go on a newer vessel or a certain itinerary, and now you might have to change that up because, like you said, your future cruise credit might only go so far.
And this was kind of a niche thing with the Viking people talking, Viking cruisers talking about river levels today, and of course this is the height of. But the good thing is, it's raining there right now, so there's a really good chance that maybe this is the end of it. Maybe in the future, the next couple weeks, everything comes up, and it was just a memory, just like a lot of other passing issues. So, yeah. But glad you're here, and I know we have so much news to talk about. And you just got back from a cruise. Can you tell us about your cruise you were on?
Sure, yeah, happy to give it a look. Yeah, so we just came back from 10 days actually in Northern Europe. We were on Oceania's Marina, and it's the first time I ever sailed with that cruise line. And it was unseasonably warm and dry. It didn't rain at all, but now, like I said, they're getting some rain there. But it's a kind of premium level cruise line, so some great dining, a lot of interesting shore excursions, and it was nice to be back in that area of the world. We've been to the Baltics once before, so it's just a unique part of the world to visit. We obviously couldn't go to Russia. That's kind of usually the thing everyone looks forward to. They book these cruises, and usually those itineraries include a couple days in St. Petersburg, but obviously because of what's going on, that didn't occur. But we got to see some other great places we love too. We got Finland. We went to some new countries, Latvia and Lithuania, places I never thought I'd maybe visit in my lifetime, right? And they're beautiful, and the people there are so welcoming and warm. We had a fantastic time. It was a packed 10 days because you're literally in a different port of call and almost a different country every day.
Yeah, is that one of those things where you almost need a vacation afterwards because it's so port intensive?
It is pretty intense, yeah. So for folks who are looking at that, I highly recommend doing it. It is kind of a bucket list itinerary, but definitely be prepared. You're going to see a lot of stuff, eat some great food, but you're going to be going nonstop. There was no sea days on our particular itinerary, and there's no destination where you might say, well, I'm not going to get off today, right? When you do a Caribbean, you might say, oh, I've been to destination X several times. Here, it's like I said, you're in Latvia, Lithuania, Finland, Estonia, you're Sweden, you're all these different, Denmark, you're going to all these places that many people don't get to a lot, or you're doing unique experiences. So it is something where you don't really ever. I think we slept in once. I think there was one day we got to sleep in. So
it was very intensive. So with Oceania, I've never cruised with Oceania also, or haven't. Is it very inclusive? Is tours included, drinks included? Is that type of experience, or is some things a la carte?
It's kind of like in between, I would say, a Celebrity and Viking. So I know a lot of folks that, a lot with Viking. So on board, there's more inclusives than you would say on most ships. So specialty coffees included, some non-alcoholic premium beverages, and then you have all the dining. So they have specialty, what you'd call specialty restaurants, and then a main dining room. But then shore excursions aren't part of. They sell different packages, but the base package doesn't include shore excursions, doesn't include any alcoholic beverages. We were put in a penthouse suite. So we had some additional perks with that, like access to a special sun deck and spa and things like that. We even had a butler.
Oh, I was going to ask if you had a butler.
We did. We had a butler. He was a great guy, Bobby. Yeah. I did not know what to do with the butler.
I've heard that people are like, I don't know what to do with this guy. Like this just messes their head up a little bit,
Well, he's super nice, and they want to do things for you, and they're used to obviously travelers who travel at that level. And I guess Heidi will get mad at me. I guess I don't travel at that level. We're not at the penthouse suite booking stage in our life. Yeah. So it was always like, oh, what can I get for you? What can I do for you? And I was like, oh, we're good. Some more bottled water. They have like refillable bottles of water and things like that. But he was super nice, and the service actually throughout the ship was great too. I would say it was on par with like Viking as far as level of service, people remembering your name, going out of their way to serve you. And then you can buy, like I said, other packages that would include things like shore excursions or that beverage packages. But yeah, definitely, like I said, definitely a little bit higher level than say like a Celebrity or Princess, but not, I think, all as inclusive as say like a Regent or like a Viking can be.
It's a pretty small ship, but did it hold like 800 people or so? Is that about right? Or
I think it's a little bit larger, but so it's a good sized ship. I think it's like 66,000 gross tons, so around 1,200 passengers.
okay,
But we had like 500. It wasn't even half full. It didn't even have 600 people. It was like in the mid 500s.
oh wow,
And there was a number of media and travel professionals on there. So
okay,
we sucked up maybe 100 of those seats or so. 80 or 100 of those were either travel professionals or some form of media. So there's like 450 other passengers besides us on there. So the ship was relatively quiet.
well, that's awesome. Hey, and before I just wanted to tell everybody before we get too far, we want everybody. One of our main focuses on this is we want everybody to check in. Let us know what type of cruises you're going on. Just say hello. We've got both audiences here together. Cruise Addicts, EatSleepCruise.com. We're so excited to do this, and we hope to do this regularly. So we hope you'll join us to come join us and ask any questions. Let us know what you have planned, and we can learn from each other and have a great time. And we look forward to going over some of the other news. It's so great to hear about Don's trip. I saw the pictures on your Facebook and everything, and I was really jealous. I looked great, really, really beautiful. But yeah, just ask any questions. And also, please give us a thumbs up on our Facebook channels. Please give us a subscribe. My deep, hidden secret is I want to be a full-time YouTuber. So,
Do?
yeah, it's like I want to be a YouTuber, and but no, we appreciate all the support, and that's the way you can help us and give us a comment here. Let's have this interactiveness. There's so many people watching us right now live. It's really, really exciting, and we're so happy to do this. But enough about me talking. Well, I do have a talking problem, but we're so happy here. And the good news is there's been, and I'll put it up here, is cruise lines are now saying pretty much all unvaccinated people are welcome to sail in the U.S. There's still some fine points. Definitely check with your cruise line to make sure to read that fine print. You don't want to be upset and we can't read you a whole page here of every policy, but it's really come down to DB where they really dropped the vaccine mandates, haven't they?
It is essentially, I think, for the most part, as you mentioned, there's a couple asterisks here or there with the different cruise lines, but for the most part, if you're cruising from most destinations out of the U.S., then if you can do it unvaccinated, you need to be tested, and then it's usually 2 or 3 days before. And then the other big thing is if you are vaccinated, right, that they've dropped the testing requirement. So they're definitely changing the safety protocols as everything shifts with the ongoing. I don't know, are we still calling it a pandemic or global health crisis? I don't know where we are in this, but wherever this is shifting, we're into the next phase where we still have some health protocols, but they are opening it up. And I don't know if you've seen it, but the reaction on social media has been mostly positive, that people are looking forward now. A lot of folks, I guess, opens up to them for whatever reason. They weren't able to cruise before. Now they can cruise, whether it's a vaccination or the testing requirement. And we were looking at some of them. I think there's only a couple cruise lines that still are requiring vaccination or requiring it for certain sailings of like a certain duration.
Yeah, I think it's like 16 days. Like I said, you got to look at the fine print. I bet that sounds great. That was a great explanation. And what it sounds like is, especially like the cruise lines that are cruising, ports overseas, like Oceania, like the one you went on, and Viking, where they cover so much a broad area outside just U.S. cruises. It's really down to those particular countries and their particular requirements that are causing this to happen. So just like a lot of other policies, though, I think ultimately those countries will start changing and maybe adjust to and follow the U.S.'s lead. And then before you know it, a lot of them be on the same page, because that's what usually happens. Even with flying, that one country might have really strict rules and something might go into effect and everybody kind of gets either strict. And once they start dropping those barriers, a lot of the other countries fall in line because they don't want to be excluded from the travel economy. All of a sudden they're not getting the travel business, and it becomes there's a lot of political pressure on from the local people because they want those tourist dollars as well.
Right, and there's still some countries I think requiring right now, like for example, I think if you're going to Canada, regardless of your vaccination status, if your cruise is stopping there, I believe you still need to show a test. We're supposed to go there in September on a Canada-New England cruise, cruising from our home port for the first times actually. And then there's other destinations that are still requiring it too, but odds are those places will keep them in effect in this year. And then if things progress, I don't know what the future holds. I would assume they're not going to require you to get boosted, right? Some of the European destinations already require that, but I can't see next year requiring someone to show proof of a vaccination that's now 2 years old is what the cruise lines will do. So that might be as early as sometime next year, seeing some of these cruise lines saying, we're not even going to ask you if you already don't have to show you're vaccinated. They might say, well, we're not even testing anymore.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's just going to phase out. And it's funny because the big news that came out the other day, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, is, it said Canada and it said Bermuda. That was like the North American ports. And I think a couple days later on, Bermuda had dropped theirs. So that's kind of, I think, so it's just that slippery slope where there's a lot of pressure, and people don't want to, they just know that society will follow the path of least resistance. So they don't want to lose out on those travel dollars just for maybe too strict of a policy. So the policies change, and I think that's why the U.S. has done it too for cruising, because you can pretty much do anything else without being vaccinated and without being tested, except take a cruise. So here we are, and and we'll see what happens. And hopefully, but I know that travel agents that I've talked to, there's 2 of them I've talked to, and they said their phones are ringing off the hook. And we said Carnival had said that their bookings were double what it was the same time last year. So the demand is literally shut up, and I really think that there's been a silent majority, not at least a silent percentage that was pretty significant. I'd say maybe 50-60% of the cruising population probably just wasn't going to cruise, or didn't like those requirements, even if whatever the situation was. So I think we're finally, what I was going to say is I think we're finally really, really back. Cruising is really, really back. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about this live stream here, and hopefully we'll have a great, end of the year.
I think so. It's going to be a busy end of the year. There's more ships either coming over here or new ships. Carnival Celebration is going to be launching. Celebrity Beyond's coming over here. It launched in the spring, and there's plenty of ships set up for next year. And I think the cruise lines, as I said, are back. And I just know from what we're seeing in social, just things seem to be more of a buzz of people, whether it's searching for things or looking at things online for cruising, that this was what the final thing that the cruise lines need to do is basically ease these restrictions, but still have some health protocols in place. I think the testing is still, it seems like a good protocol for now because we're not totally out of this, but we'll see. It'd be interesting to see. I was like, who's the first one who's not going to require testing or vaccination? And it'll be interesting to see how things progress. But we're excited for the fall and for what next year holds, and hopefully it'll be back to normal.
Yeah, and I know like the recent things, they started getting the mainstream line started actually cruising at fuller capacity, if not full, which was a monumental thing. And all of a sudden there was no, so it's really nice to see all this stuff. Let's see what else we got here. We got one of the big things is Viking had celebrated 25 years of being in business. And I know we talked about that when we were in the Viking Octanus. The chairman had talked about it coming up, and I believe it was August 6th was the day they celebrated it. And so we're very happy and send our congratulations to Viking for having a wonderful company and reaching 25 years in business. Started as a river cruise, and now they're just exploring the whole world and with expedition, the U.S. rivers, and apparently a lot more planned.
Yeah, well, they have 3 new ships. They just have their new ship over in Egypt that some of our friends are on. They have Mississippi, their first river cruise in the U.S. I think is launching this week or next week, so that's coming up. And yeah, so what a way for that company to kind of expand. And anyone who's sailed with Viking, I think they have a really good, as you know, real loyal fan base, whether it's ocean or the rivers. And now they have the expedition, which we were able to sail on, and they're just they're it's a great product, and I think that it's a great team there.
Yeah, I know that Viking Saigon had just started on the Mekong, and really beautiful ship. Only holds like 80 people, but what a beautiful bucket list experience you could have to cruise that part of the world in such an intimate way. But it's first class, has a spa, or not a spa, has a fitness center and a pool. I mean, how great would that be?
It's on the list. I know Gary Bember said like just cruising that part of the world somewhere like that was one of the most amazing places he's been to. We've never been anywhere near there, and I think of a better cruise line to do it with than with Viking.
Yeah, we need to be a live stream on that, right?
Well, hopefully the internet's better. I think it'll probably be better there than in my own house back here, like near the Boston area.
Well, we'll have to sit in the back with like satellite links, But
The old cell phones that were in a briefcase, like in the 80s. If
yeah,
anyone's aware of those, like we have that. Like it's like we're in the front lines over here.
yes, that's great. And let's see here.
About watching from the Super Bowl. You want to throw it up there, maybe from our friend Austin here, about watching. I think it's a Super Bowl. I've watched playoff games on cruise ships. Have you ever watched a Super Bowl, like a World Series or anything on a cruise ship?
I'm trying to think. Not particularly. I mean, I've definitely watched things, but no. But that'd be great. And it used to be really, really difficult to they have the cruise lines had their little package, and that's what it was, and it wasn't changing. But I think with so much technology now and internet streaming and the modernization of the ships, also the passengers expect it, that now they pretty much, if anything major sporting events happen, it's a rarity that you can't watch it. And then of course now with the big outdoor theaters, on the in so many places, I mean, on the ships, that the whole ship can watch it, in comfort. Whereas before, not so much, right? You'd have to be.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of the things we've seen, they've had it in some of the larger theaters. Like it was a royal ship, but when they were doing some of the playoffs, they had it displayed in at least a couple places. They even had some snacks there. And then we were just on a cruise where it was, and I'm really bad with sports, so sorry. It was the NBA Finals, and my brother's a big Celtics fan, and so we know how that went. But they did have it in multiple places, but they didn't. I don't think they showed it outside on the screen. So I think it really depends on the ship, right, and the cruise director and what the event is, where they show it. But you'll definitely be able to find it, right? It'll be there, especially something like the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, So now I can see it though. So Austin from YouTube, thanks so much for commenting and checking in with us. I would say that a Super Bowl on the Carnival Legend will probably be in the theater. They'll have it on the big screen in the theater most likely. And also over the pool deck, that'll definitely happen. It'll be probably in the cabins as well. So, and I think there's even probably a sports bar in there potentially too. But yeah, I think it's going to be on almost every screen available, whatever the situation is there, and you're going to have a great time. You're going to have thousands of new friends, so, cheering for the respective teams. And there's probably a party, Super Bowl party, the whole day. They'll probably decorate. So you'll have a really memorable ship. And I love the Carnival Legend. Really, really wonderful size ship. It's really not too big, not too small. Has a little bit of everything. It's the Spirit class from Carnival. They're really, really awesome. So yeah, highly recommend that. Let's see. And he said he was wondering if they set up extra places. Yeah. So we covered that. And thank you, Austin. And let's see here. Yeah. Let's see here. Pamela, we'll go to some more questions here, Don. She said, Pamela says, I'm going on Carnival Magic February 23rd for my first cruise with Carnival, and then Discovery Princess to Alaska September, which will be our first after COVID. Not good. Yeah. So that's awesome.
Pretty good. I think those sound like pretty good cruises to go on. I think maybe she just wants to go on more, right? I think.
Yeah.
So we actually were on. We did Princess last year, Majestic Princess in Alaska, and it was great. So I think those sound pretty good, Pamela.
Well, that's great. I think she might have not liked COVID. Maybe she was like, eh.
Oh, COVID's not good.
COVID bad.
No one like
COVID.
I haven't found a fan of COVID yet.
Yes. So yeah. Thank you so much for making the comments. Please keep commenting. Please give us those likes. We really appreciate it. I know we got some hearts too. That's probably for you, Don.
Oh, I can't make heart. All right.
So we got Facebook user from one of our groups. You got to give StreamYard permission so we can see your smiling face there. But hello back to you, because if it's behind the group, it has like a little bit of a privacy thing. So you got to give it a little bit of StreamYard love, and then we can see your face. Otherwise, it just says Facebook user. And we got Kevin from Facebook. Hey, Kevin. Thanks so much for checking in with us. We really appreciate it. And from audio, there's no audio. I think we had problems earlier.
That was me. That was 110% me. Sorry about that. Yeah. So they were pointing that out that I was inaudible, but now hopefully I am. For better or worse.
He had like a old TV antenna with tin foil on it, like pointed at the moon.
Oh God.
Let's see here. Oh, we have another question here. Facebook user, any hints for a Panama cruise? We want to go from Florida to San Diego.
Ooh.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is there's a lot of repositioning cruises when the ships go from the Caribbean cruise after, I'm trying to remember now, after the winter time. A lot of times they're in the Florida doing Caribbean cruises for the winter, and then they reposition to Alaska, and then they go through the Panama Canal, transit the Panama Canal, and then they work their way up the West Coast, kind of doing some short ones sometimes, and then maybe some longer ones to Alaska out of San Francisco, depending on where the ship home ports for Alaska. So definitely choose whatever brand you're looking at, the major ones, Carnival, Norwegian, Royal Caribbean. Look at those, look at ships that might reposition to Alaska, and then catch, because a lot of times they're not regular sailings. That might be like a one-time sailing, maybe a 10-night or 2-week cruise that trans Panama cruise from Florida over, and even maybe some Texas ones nowadays out of Galveston, because Galveston's gotten so big. Sometimes I forget about it because I lived in Florida for so long. We kind of think we're all that, So.
Yeah. I mean, all the major cruise lines now do Panama Canal. I know we're going to talk about Norwegian a little bit. Their new ship, I think some of their largest ships go through the new locks. You can have, I know Windstar does, if you like smaller boutique ships, Windstar has some really great itineraries. I was eyeing some itineraries there that go to like a couple of unique stops there. So I think depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for a larger ship, I would say Norwegian. Well, Carnival's great too. All the cruise lines do it, but I want to say it's got to be some of the larger ships. I can't imagine the Quantum class or any Royal like Oasis class going through there. So it must be the Norwegian, like I think Getaway was doing them or has done them. Maybe we do them in the future. Or if you're looking something smaller, like I said, I know Windstar has a couple really great. They just lengthened their sailing yachts, and they had some really interesting Panama Canal itineraries.
It's usually like the premium brands like Holland America, Princess, Norwegian, Celebrity that do a little bit more longer destinations than the 7-night ones that offer that. And there's probably regular sailings for two. Like it could be out of Tampa, it could be out of many different places. So check it out. But I know people love it, and there is like you said, going through the locks is like a little bit of a upgrade nowadays, because some will just kind of park outside, they say, or they really don't get to transit all the way through the locks. So you have to really read the fine print, because I've heard people say, I paid for this Panama cruise and we didn't even actually go into them,
Yeah, so that's one. She wants one. I think it was a user. It was a Facebook user, so I don't know who you are, Facebook user. But yeah, you definitely, the one-way ones you have to, because there's no.
Yeah, I guess you have to. Yeah,
right?
transit. And that's what I was thinking.
Starts Miami, ends in Southern California. That's how you're getting there.
Yeah, so I kind of regressed here a little bit. Yeah, it's obviously transit the whole thing. To get San Diego, you'd have to. That's more of a repositioning cruise. So
yeah,
I think I was right the first time, but I started thinking about other stuff too.
But you're right. You want to always keep that out, because if you're like, I'm doing a 7-day cruise, like you can't go through, you can't get across in 7 days, right? I think usually they do 14 days with stops or 10. But I've never done one that's on the list for us, I know.
Yeah, I haven't done any one either, but people love it. I mean, it's one of those things like Alaska. People just rave about Alaska. It's a bucket list must do, and I highly recommend Alaska. But it's expensive though. That's one of the hard times. It's not as affordable as say like a Caribbean cruise. Yeah, even the tours are pretty expensive, but of course the airfare, depending on if you have to fly. But it's really amazing, and people say the same thing about Panama Canal. Like you got to do it.
Yeah.
So we have another comment here. Oh, hello, family. Greetings from Bali, Indonesia. Hello back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to say the name properly. But we're so good to have you watching us from YouTube. And we appreciate that really kind and positive words.
Yeah.
Because it is a beautiful world. And
isn't that just that someone from Bali, Indonesia right now is who loves obviously travel and cruising. You get to interact with those people literally across the globe.
Yeah. And that really don't you really enjoy that type of part about cruising, where you get to meet some great people, be it at port stops, your tour guides or different people, restaurant owners, just local people that you happen to meet during your travels, and then of course the crew members that are all, many times all from all around the world. It's really those types of experiences make it really special for me.
Oh, definitely. One of the great things, I mean, we go to, as you know, we're pretty traditional cruisers. We like to go to all the shows, and inevitably towards the end of the cruise, they have the show where they bring in a lot of the crew and from the different departments, or like the first night they'll say we have how many, like 45, 50 countries represented from the crew, and then even from the passengers, it might be the same amount, even though it's usually the ships we go on a lot of US people, but you have passengers too from all around the world, plus crew. It's where else can you find? And then we all get along, we all have a good time, we all can do things and have those experiences. So that's what makes cruising another great benefit of cruising, right?
Yeah, love it. And it just shows that we're just, we're members of our worldly society, and it's nice when we're all in harmony, rather than some of the political problems that happen, in this world. And the Facebook user says, thank you for the info. I really appreciate it. It's on my mom's bucket list. So we're hoping to go as a family for her 90th. She's in very good health. That's awesome.
That's
really, really wish you the best. And, I know I post things on my Facebook thing, basically to create memories. You can't, you don't always have time, and you can't take money with you, but you sure can create memories, you know what I mean? And travel allows you to do that. And I think it's just one of the best things to do with our time and our hard work, to go enjoy life and experience, because you get to spend time together, in this case with mom and everybody, and just have a great lasting memory together and enjoy life to its fullest.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's great. That's great. Maybe I'd lean towards Windstar then if mom's 90, or Hal, or one of those cruise lines might be a little bit more, even though she's in good health. So you can check those out.
Yeah. So how was your Windstar experience?
We've sailed with Windstar twice. So most recent one earlier this year, we got to go to Tahiti with Windstar, and again, that's another bucket list destination. The ship, I was talking about how the other ship was half full. This ship was a third full when we were. It was February, so just cruising had only been back 6-ish months at this point, right? It started June of last year, so it's February of this year, and I think that totally changes everything, because it's almost like having your own yacht to yourself when you have 100. The ship holds about 300-ish people, and you only have 100 on there. Then you got to know the crew. They knew our drinks as soon as we walked into like the lounge there, and then we had great weather and got to see some of the more unique areas of the world. So yeah, I think that Windstar is a great option, kind of like a Viking. Like if you're going to these unique destinations and you just know you want a good meal, some great service, and the destination is really the focus, because there's not a lot obviously to do on board, but their ship's obviously smaller than say Viking Ocean.
Cool. No, I think it's great. I mean, obviously we love cruising, and it's great with families. Now, one of the last things about their major news thing is that Norwegian Prima, or Norwegian Cruise Line, took delivery of Norwegian Prima, and I know you actually got invited to the christening, right?
We did get invited. That great segue, John. So, but I know you're also going on the ship soon too, a little bit later in the fall. But yeah, we're super excited. Prima looks like an amazing new class of ship, and we will be on board this Friday.
That's awesome. So, what are you most looking forward to?
That's a great question. Well, I guess
I don't know. Is it Katy Perry? I mean, just saying.
Yeah, sure. Katy Perry's fun.
You didn't hear that, Heidi.
Heidi should be there. We'll be rocking out. The sad part is the only concerts we go to are like cruise events. We saw our Kelly Clarkson at the Encore christening back in 2019 now, and we haven't been to a concert since. Now I think Katy Perry's they set a performance of like 45-ish minutes, but with the name of Eat Sleep Cruise, it's the food, right? There's a bunch of new restaurants and some new dining concepts on Prima. They have this new food hall concept in addition to a buffet. They have some different new restaurants, a new seafood restaurant, a new take on they usually have a teppanyaki, but they have like a newer kind of iteration of that concept on this ship. They have Onda, which is an Italian restaurant we've gotten to eat on their other ship. That's going to be here. And we have 8 days. I want to say it's 8 days. So looking forward to like how much food can I shove in my face and still fit into my clothes? Like that's the math I'm going to have to be doing at each. Like, can I eat this right now and still fit in my dress, my khakis for tomorrow? So that's what are you looking forward to checking out?
We need the stretchy pants.
The elastic waistband. Those are actually coming. Those are actually making a comeback. They now sell suits with like drawstrings.
Yeah.
I gotta upgrade my wardrobe.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna go to that back rack of the stretchy pants. It's like they're dress pants, but they have a stretchy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. Kelly Clarkson's gonna be having a concert in Galveston when we cruise. It's a 4-night cruise in Galveston, but Kelly Clarkson's doing. Because the teachers, if you might remember her show, she gave away 100 cruises to teachers.
Okay.
And so she's actually giving a concert to everybody on board, I believe, including the teachers on the sailing from, I believe it's the 27th through the 31st from Galveston.
September or October? October. Okay.
Yeah. So we're really looking forward to that because Kelly Clarkson was so great on the Norwegian Encore christening. And we actually saw her a long time ago in concert, and she was she's amazing. And she was just as good on Encore. And so I'm sure she's going to be really blow us away again in this October. So we're super excited about that. I'm a big Katy Perry fan too, but I'm sure you'll get some great videos though.
I'll post some videos for you. I didn't realize you were such a Katy Perry. I honestly, it's fine. Like I'm sure she's a great. I know she's a great performer. I'm sure.
Well, for a little while she used to text me, but then I won't get into that. But
you want to get, and then she met Orlando Bloom, and then like things like kind of that's what happens.
I was like, listen, I'm married, okay. So, but yeah, we're really excited. I mean, this whole class of ship just blew us away. Like it's just looks revolutionary. So many things to talk about, like you said. But just it looks like a beautiful ship. Just the exterior design, the beautiful Italian artwork from the graffiti artist, and it's really, really cool. And I've never seen the whole artwork go up, right up the whole all the way up to the whole front of the ship, up to the bridge. That's what I'm trying to say. All the way up the front. You don't usually see that artwork go that high up, but really, really exciting design. And I can't wait to see more of it up close. I know some pictures are starting to come out, but part of me is like, I don't know if you're like me. Do you want to see that, or do you want to like see it fresh for yourself? It's like because you're like unwrapping a gift. You want to have fresh eyes because it never looks the same as the pictures, does it?
Yeah, that's true. So I agree with you. We'll look at a few pictures. We look at the deck plans because we want to know where we're going.
Yeah.
But we have some of our friends on YouTube. I was just watching their Disney Wish, and they like claim that they didn't do any research. They went on it and they want to see everything for the first time. I think that would drive Heidi nuts. Like if she didn't do, because we're like the other side of the coin where we overplan stuff. So we definitely know the venues, know the layout, but I haven't done as much detailed work, maybe because I do want to be surprised. And I know one of our friends who, and you know him too, works in the marketing for Norwegian, did a lot of recon on Virgin voyages. So I think some of the unique concepts that are there, like their buffets, kind of sounds like it's going to be like kind of like this food hall thing is going to be a little bit. It's like there's some similarities and overlap there, as well as the theater, right? The theater on Prima is this transformable theater that takes on many different setups. It's not just your typical theater with chairs. It can move around, and that's what Virgin has too. So I think they were looking towards Virgin, and I know we went on several times just to be like, what are the things they can do, or what do people like and not like, and they can bring some of that there. But between the different slides they're going to have, they have the largest racetrack at sea, even though Norwegian technically is the only people have a racetrack at sea. But now people will have the largest one.
3 decks. So, 3 whole decks of racetrack now. It's great. It looks beautiful too. Just the design, and what impressed me on Encore was just the quality of their ships, and the detail is just really a notch up from a lot of things that you're used to seeing. Just really, really impressive. I don't know if you felt that way, but I was just so impressed with like the detail of everything they did was just on a really high level.
Yeah, the Breakaway Plus class is amazing. We love Bliss, love Encore. I think it definitely has a more elegant feel, more like a premium level, but it still has, still has some of the more fun things that you're not going to find maybe on, say, a Celebrity or a Princess. But no, the ships are beautiful, and Prima's, even as you said, going to be. I think the word they like to use is elevate, right? A lot of their marketing, they're elevating whatever this experience or that experience. No, we're very excited, and their other ship is like right behind. So that their next ship will be out next year. They were showing some drone footage
Viva.
of ships together and stuff.
Yeah, the Viva is coming out, and yeah, it's just great. I guess there's a total of 6 of these ships coming out, and so yeah, I mean, how awesome is that? So there's a lot of great things. It seems like they're really taking the product, from what it was into a whole new direction, in that premium experience, and really delivering it. The chairman, I believe, said that he felt that people that actually book this are going to be walking off saying, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I got so much for so little." That the value of this experience by booking a Prima class ship is just going to blow the guests away with how they feel they got so much for so little. And cruising's always been a great value. Mm-hmm. So, it's great to see that brands, Norwegian really differentiate themselves to offering this more premium experience, and probably not much more than some other lines that we're used to talking about.
Yeah, once you consider everything, with their packages fluctuate, but their base package now, basically, right, the free at sea program is get they have 2 drink packages. So you get their baseline drink package, you get a couple of specialty dinners for like a week cruise. I think it's 2. You get some Wi-Fi, you get some onboard credit for shore excursions. So they're definitely trying to compete with those higher level cruise lines, and the ships themselves, from a aesthetic, as you mentioned, and amenities on board, certainly compete. It's certainly match, if not exceed. We're big fans of a lot of several restaurant concepts. Food Republic's one of our favorite places at sea. That fusion restaurant's amazing. It's something like dining at the steakhouse, I think, is on par with any other steakhouse you find, whether it's a contemporary or premium cruise line or even luxury. I mean, I like Viking's Italian restaurant. We've eaten there together. That place is great, but they don't really have a real steakhouse and something like that. So Norwegian gives you a little bit of that flexibility, but then it gives you some of the other fun stuff. The Galaxy Pavilion, right? They're going to have all those VR digital technology, which some of those cruise ships don't have. Unique things like that. Yeah,
that really blew me away on Encore. I mean, so much of the stuff that they did on Encore was, like I said, I'm not sounding like a commercial here, but the sometimes they'll have, like, some brands might have, like, okay, we're doing this, or we're doing this, but on that Encore, just everything they did was in such a high degree of quality. Like the laser tag area was just so unique. The virtual reality area was just so large and had so much, so many different things. Even the escape room was kind of a new concept then. It's just, they do it so well that it's just super impressive. It's not just okay, we're going to do this we're going to do it halfway. They do it 110% with just a great experience. And if you know what I'm trying to say, so.
No, I agree. Yeah, this is a PG-13 show. I guess they don't half-ass it, which I agree with you. It's and that's why our friend and stuff was doing some recon or going on some other ships where they might have something similar, but Norwegian wants to take it to that next level. And yeah, I don't want to sound like a commercial either. We're big, full disclosure, we've sailed a lot with Norwegian. We sail a lot with Royal and Celebrity, and so we have more experience to compare with than, say, Carnival. We've only actually been on one Carnival cruise. We're going to hopefully go on Celebration this year, but so we have a little bit just more comparison. And Encore and Bliss, they were great, and I think this is going to take it to the next level for folks who like mega ships, which we do. And I know some folks don't want 100. I don't even know what the gross tonnage is. It's got to be like 150,000-ish gross tons in that ballpark.
I think it's my brain saying 142, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, again, I was in the ballpark. I overbid. Price is Right rules, but it's in that vicinity.
And I think they were even saying that they actually have less passengers to space ratio on this class of ship than they did on the Breakaway Plus, like the Encore. So there's more passenger space, and they wanted. I think they're really focusing on the luxury. I know some brands, so maybe they've added a little more suite spaces, and stuff like that.
Or I think they've added outdoor public spaces too. Yeah, so I think they because a lot of cruise lines, you want to be there's going to be 4,000. It must be like around 4,000-ish people. So they don't want it to feel like that. So they have their outdoor spaces and they've made it, yeah, like you said, I think they've removed rooms in certain spots to have more public spaces and more outdoor spaces. But the other thing we haven't talked about too with the ship, and if folks want to know, is they moved the haven.
Oh, okay. Where'd they move it to?
Because usually in the front of the ship, they moved it to the back. So now the haven has more space and it has its own kind of outdoor sun deck. If you remember, it usually has like a courtyard.
Yeah.
Right. So now they have like a legit sun deck, and I think it's, don't quote me on this, I'm sure it's going to be the largest haven or one of the largest havens they have, or maybe per capita. And they've improved like the bars and lounges and restaurants there to really make it even more elegant with that ship within a ship experience. But Heidi won't let me book the haven. I keep saying, Heidi, let's book the haven. Let's spend the money. Let's go there. And she's like, no, stop it. You don't want to do that. You believe that, John?
No.
Not for a minute there, you were believing me. Yes. No, but I would love to stay in a haven, but we haven't pulled the trigger yet on any Norwegian ship. Obviously, not just Prima. But
what do you think it costs to go on the haven? I mean, like, to be honest, like I don't even price those things, but because the sticker shop can be pretty significant, right?
We looked at it when we were doing a family trip, because a lot of people say, well, if you get some of the bigger rooms that you can hold multiple family members, it works out better than just getting like 2 cabins. In our situation, I remember it didn't, but I would think it's got to be for a week cruise on that ship. I mean, Michael will know, but more than 2.5 times whatever the veranda is going to be. Whatever your typical balcony cabin is per person, I would say 2.5 times it. So if they're selling those at $2,000 a person for a week, like $4,000 probably, or like a 7-day on this, yeah, you're probably looking at maybe around $5-ish grand, $4 or $5-ish grand a person for those rooms. But everyone who does it loves it. We've talked to several people that done it, and they're like, once you do it, it's hard to go back. Maybe, I don't know if anyone in the audience has done it, but
yeah, let us know if you booked any suites and why you prefer that.
Yeah, if you've done any like any of the havens or the yacht club or the MSC yacht club is similar to it too, right?
Now, just from my perspective with some friends that I know cruise quite a bit, there is like a progression where it seems like once they start cruising suites and lofts, like you see them, they don't go back to, like, you don't see them like an inside cabin afterwards. Like they seem to really stick around to that level of experience, where they regularly book loft suites and suites in general, because I think they really get, it's kind of like, once you go first class, it's kind of hard to go back, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, just in our own experience, nowhere near suites or anything, but we used to always book an interior inside room, and we'd be like, oh, we never in the room that much. And then I think our first balcony we booked was Alaska, and now I don't think we booked, I think, only one inside, like when we went to Cuba, I want to say, or it was like this. We went to a balcony, and basically we haven't gone back. I think there was like 1 or 2 instances where we did inside just because of situation, but now we won't go anything less than a balcony room, right? But yeah, and then I'm sure you get to a point where those folks are just like, well, I need the extra room in a suite or whatever. So it's all relative.
Yeah, I think a balcony ruins you, like, because I was the same way. I was like, can we get on board for the cheapest, most affordable? It doesn't matter. And then it was years, and then once I got a balcony, I was like, oh, I get it now. And then you're completely ruined.
Right.
So, like, it's not that much more. So.
Well, it's like anything, and this is true for anyone watching, and people know this. If the more you do something, the more you appreciate it, and that's to say, you appreciate having a balcony space, just like those who fly a lot. Like the difference between business class and economy, if you're flying across the Atlantic or the Pacific multiple times, doing anything, those people upgrade because they know what the values and the worth is there. So the same thing with going up from a balcony. But a lot of newer cruise ships don't have as many insides as they used to anyway, right? The cruise line ships, because they know people want balconies. And I think Prima has, a higher percentage of ocean view and balconies than maybe some of the other Norwegian ships, because that's what people want. So they know we're going to design the ships to have as much of those outward facing cabins as possible.
Yeah. So let's see. We've covered quite a bit here.
I know.
It's been great. We really appreciate all the feedback. We still got quite a few people watching us live. We know they'd be able to watch us replay on both of our channels, all the different social media channels and whatnot. So please leave your comments. We'll try to monitor them and answer any questions later on. But we're hoping to do this probably every other week. We'll see what happens depending on how we're traveling. We know that internet's really difficult when we travel. I think we
at home.
Yeah, at home,
Our home.
But it's funny. I did a live stream one time. I hope I tell you the story just to be real here. I was starting to do this, and I did a live stream with a travel agent friend, and my whole thing went whoop, gone, and it was just him. And it was just I had the same problem, and I had to figure out it turns out I had the cable guy out and everything, and then it comes down to even when I moved, because I recently moved, as some of you know, and I was having the same problem here. I've got super fast internet. I'm like, it's great. I got the routers right over here. Shouldn't be a problem. No, and it even said it actually says you need to plug it in. I don't know why, but for some reason, maybe it's some type of issue with the software hardware thing. They want you to plug it into the back of it. So if any of you gamers or whatever like that, try getting the cable and plugging it from the router directly into the computer, and not just go off the Wi-Fi, so you can have a latency. I'm gonna get fancy. Latency-free connection. See, you like that?
That's a big term, John.
Yeah, I thought about that for it. It's I went back, but it blows me away. I remember I was many years ago. I was telling some of my friends, we had a 300. I'm old enough where he had 300 baud bytes per second modem. 300 bucks. Then it was 1,200, 2,400, and then I remember when I had whatever it was when I first got the high speed, super high speed, and now even moving here, it's 600 megabytes per second. And there's we can get a gig to your house. I'm like, are you crazy? So it's just mind-boggling the speed that we can have, and that we can do this. And I think we talked about this the other night, where I think we were chatting last night, just how speed of the phones and everything that we can actually do this. It's just really great, and so it's exciting. And I think we might have a comment. I don't know if you can pull it up here or not.
So I think someone enjoys your videos a lot.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I enjoy them too. I have a comment in there, but it is kind of crazy to think that we are streaming over the internet, so folks all around the world can see us. And yeah, it kept saying get closer to your router, and I'm like, I can't get closer to my routers downstairs. So I got to figure out something if we're gonna do this more regularly, because like I said, this is the 4th or 5th live stream, and then the 2nd time that my internet.
I come with it. I do have. We could drill a hole, just run the cable,
run it through, or I'll get a booster.
I'll take a flight there. I'll be like, hey, just drill right here,
straight through, just a hole in the floor. Heidi won't mind, the wife. The
carpet will cover anything, so they won't see the hole or nothing. Yeah. It'll be good.
Perfect. It'll be great. So I know you have Prima coming up. Is that the next trip?
Yeah, that's what I've got so far, and but we're obviously looking forward to other opportunities that come. I know there's some naming ceremonies that we're going to try to go to. MSC's got something in November. I think November, was it? I'm trying to remember.
It's towards the end of the year, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's November, and then Carnival celebrations is December. But hopefully we'll get on board and show everybody some more things. That's what our goal is to get on board a little bit longer and bring it all to you all and talk about it. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And I know, what do you have going on? Because I know it's hard to keep up with you.
It's hard to keep up with me.
But I will be happy to get on a plane with my drill, and we'll just run that stuff.
Just run the cord. Run with it.
Just pull it right through there.
Just run it down, just like the joke getting on the cruise ships. Does the ship, produce its own power? No, we have a cable running from Miami all the way out here to the Bahamas, right? We have Prima, and then as I mentioned, I don't think I mentioned it. So we're doing Prima, and then we're hopping from Prima to Barcelona to go on Valiant Lady with some friends, and then we are doing a Boston to Quebec, Midland, Canada cruise. So that's our next kind of 2 months.
What cruise line is that on?
That's going to be on Holland America, so New Statendam.
Oh, awesome.
And it'll be the first time we've ever cruised. So folks who don't know us, we live in the Boston area, and it'll be the first time we've ever taken a cruise from Boston, because there's not as many cruises as you would think. And we've lived up and down kind of New England, so it's like, why would I take a cruise to these places? But this one actually has a bunch of stops in Canada, so Halifax, and then it goes around to Quebec, so that should be good.
Is that considered a fall foliage cruise? Is that what they call that?
I guess mid-September. The colors will be popping. Honestly, with climate change, like those whole seasons aren't like as predictable as they used to be, but you'll definitely see some of the leaves turning when you get to like Maine, for example, or up in. I think it just goes from Boston to Bahaba, Maine. Actually, it's the only other U.S. stop. Maybe one more, and then you get further north. So I don't know what it'll look like further north, but yeah, that's the best time to anyone. Boston, best time to come is the fall. So.
And Jeff here on YouTube says, I live in Massachusetts also, and only been out of New York City. Yeah.
We have done New York City with Royal. Yeah, Boston. We need to get Jeff. We need to tell people at like the Black Falcon terminal to get more ships out of Boston. The problem is ships. There's enough pier space to have ships stop for the day. Like Mervilia was here. It was the largest ship to have a dock here. It had to be 2019. Yeah, I think it was 2019. But you can't process a ship that size, right? You can't get passengers on and off because the facilities are just so outdated. So those larger ships can come here, but you can't embark and disembark here. You can just kind of visit for the day.
So the cruise lines need to really invest a lot of new money to a whole new terminal, maybe.
Yeah, or the state could work. I mean, listen, I'll get up there in the State House and talk about tourism because obviously it's a port city, Boston, but you would need definitely to invest money. But if anyone's from New England or knows this, it took them 40 years to build an obsolete highway. So it will probably take like 20 years to build a cruise terminal that can process.
Is that the big dig that you're talking about?
Yeah.
So how did that turn out?
Digging. Don, we're still digging.
Are they still digging?
They're still digging.
I'm kind of a geek. I watch all that stuff. I'm like, modern marvels. I'm like, yeah, whatever happened to that,
Yeah. So but New York has the New Jersey, the Cape Liberty terminal. I mean, it's just one huge warehouse building, but it can process ships. And then obviously Manhattan has a bunch of spots. Norwegian goes out of there. Other ships go out of downtown New York. So obviously it's better for people who live in this neck of the woods. But Boston is a great city. So if we had a modern day cruise terminal, we could definitely get more ships up here to do stuff.
And I've never been to Boston.
Well, you used to be up in New York, though. Like you go.
I know. Well, I was little, and I've been in New York a bunch of times, but I've never gone to actually Boston.
Yeah, we gotta get up here.
I could bring the cable. I could bring the cord. I started
run the cable from your house up to Boston.
You got a window in that
would be solid.
We'll run the cable down the window.
Down the window.
We'll do it like old school style. It's like, what's that hanging out the window?
It's like when you're stealing your neighbor's cable, right? You would split the wire. You just get that little splitter. You put it in there. Just run it up here.
Okay. Well, we get fancy. We do like Skylink. How's that? Starlink, Skylink, or whatever it's called, where they little satellite dish thing.
Oh, okay.
Starlink.
First, I thought you were talking about OnStar, and I'm like, what?
No. I haven't heard that in a long time because everything was OnStar. Now I don't really hear anything about it.
Only reason I think of it is because when you go to Disney, and we're big Disney geeks too, people who like to cruise and go to Disney, they have that ride sponsored by Chevrolet, and they even say in the ride, now I'm connecting to OnStar. I'm like, that's how old this ride is. Like, people don't know what OnStar was like before the internet, though. Like, it was like amazing. You could communicate in your car. It's like,
yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah, I'm going to date myself. I used to have a GPS on the dashboard.
And you remember that? You might have to help me with this here, and you might not remember. I'm trying to think. Whereas you had the phones and they would like a CB radio to each other. What was that called?
The Motorola.
Yeah, Motorola.
I think the name, but you like yeah.
They're like my job I had before that, we all had that, and we were so mad when they got rid of it. What was that called? But it was its own radio frequency. So they were on a separate frequency, and it was like analog of some type, and it was really good. Like when you talk to somebody, it was like almost like a really good radio. It was crystal clear, and they tried to do it like through Sprint's network, and it was just all pixelated. Like for lack of a better word, it was like all just poor. I call it pixelated because it was like broken up. The audio was. was all digital, but it was so great. So it's, but what happens is a lot of times those analog bandwidths, they can create gazillions of digital in the same bandwidth. You know what I mean? Because the analog was usually so fat. At least that's my understanding, is they can take the same radio frequencies and digitize them and stick a lot more digitized on that same frequency.
Huh. Well,
Okay.
Direct Connect wasn't like what they would brand it. I think something like
Yeah, it was something like that. It was. I think Direct Connect was like another, like Verizon's version of it.
Okay.
But what was that called? Motorola. I know we're talking about something totally not cruising, but
well, I think we're so cooler than everyone else over here. It sounds like.
And then, what's really nice is there's still the same amount of people watching us. So God bless you all that you actually look. We have a true dedicated audience here that'll listen to us talk about all this stuff. But I want to know what they think. Should we just all run Don's house and run some cable somewhere? We could.
Well, Jeff's from Massachusetts. He might be a little bit closer. He could help.
Yes.
He could help.
He might be a cable installer. Like, I can do it the right way, John. We don't need to hang it out the window. Like some type of lesser quality style. Don's trying to have a respectful house, and I'm drilling holes through the floor, and like we can do this.
It's because we live out in the woods out here.
Oh, really?
We don't. I say we live near Boston. We're like at 50-ish minutes south without traffic, but it's a rural community, and my cell phone sometimes works in my house, and obviously my internet also only sometimes works in the house. But I think one time we'll be like, well, the cruise ship internet's actually a little bit better. So we'll actually have to see it. We'll be on Prima. Hopefully, we're going to try to do some lives from Prima, show people the ship or show people different things, and it's maybe the internet there will be better.
It's funny. I had to actually that one incident I had where the internet was dropping out. The guy had to come out. He had to connect. He had to check every connection in my house, and he had like every connection, because there was like loss. Like he was like so great. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I know I had to change, and the house was pretty new, but they actually had to change the cable going from the road to the house several times in that house for some reason. And so yeah, it can be like one connection, and if you have connections like that are going nowhere, like empty ones, like that causes loss too. And so I would just call the cable company, honestly, and then they'll come out and like diagnose it, because they just basically visit anyway, and then they hook up the little meter to everything, because it could be like one little problem, can totally throw your whole thing off. Because I was like changing routers left and right, and it wasn't fixing it. It was I thought it was I was in the router level, but it was actually like the signal in the house. It was really weird. It's strange, but they fixed it. He made it perfect after that. But and then of course that was just Wi-Fi, was everything, and then you can also make it better just with the cable connection thing too, which I think I've told you like 100 times by now, right? So
listen, you ask my wife. You can tell me things a million times and it still doesn't sink in. So repetition is more than welcome. I think we had an internet question here from Mike. I don't know if we'll see what about Royal Caribbean testing stuff. I don't know what the update. Our friend Matt, of course, from Royal Caribbean blog, obviously, than we do, but I don't have any updates. Have you heard anything?
I have not heard anything official, but I know, I can't remember what ship it was. I have to go look. But there was a picture, and there was a picture of the whole, like, how Royal Caribbean's got the multiple front like decks where you can walk around on, and the whole front deck had those Starlinks. Like, I'm guessing they must have not made it public, but someone could walk up to them somehow. So I got this picture. So the whole front of that ship had like Starlink spaced off. You can see my finger, but I'm obviously Italian, talking with my hands. But it had Starlink spaced, like a whole array of them on the ship. So that was exciting. And I know I think they might have announced it, now that I think about it, but I have to look it up. But so, yeah, I think it's still in the testing phase. And I know everybody on the Royal Caribbean group that I have and other ones are like, great, we're going to get really great internet. But I know the internet was great on Wonder of the Seas, was fantastic, I thought.
Yeah, well, the ones that I think they're still using is O3B, like those low level satellites over there, or balloons, and it did work well. It's also so region dependent. Like, it doesn't matter who it is, like the internet in Alaska is not good. Right? Everyone, Princess Hal, we've done Norwegian, like no one has good internet there. So It also just depends where you are, but that's kind of I think one of the biggest things, especially for what we do. If you're gonna do live streams or just
I think Starlink might be able to fix that.
Yeah,
because
they record from your house to the ship, and then they'll be able to fix it. But I think that's kind of the next thing. Once they have, because let's be honest, I've been on ships that sell a streaming package. It's not streaming. So once you have that, though, more people will be able to work from ships. You're gonna just appeal to more people because there's plenty of people. We still have people once in a while like, oh, I don't want because with Princess you have the medallion, the phone, or people like you need to use your app, and there's still a few people like I don't want to take my cell phone on a cruise. But that's like 2 people. Most people are like I need internet because my life is connected. So the cruise line that comes out with reliable high-speed internet wherever it is, I think will definitely have an edge, even though they all make some kind of claim, fastest at sea, best at sea, like whatever it is. If this system works or some other system works, then you're just going to attract more people.
Yeah, no, I think so. And it's funny how you say that, and and then you think you're gonna be able to do stuff, and it'll say like once you get with the internet streaming thing, it'll say you can do this and this, like email and this, but you can't do streaming,
Right.
Or it'll be just very finite, what you can and can't do. And then the question is how well they actually do it. You know what I mean? And I've actually seen some of the cruise line people, and they're walking around doing these streaming things. And I've had discussions with people like, so how does so-and-so actually have such a high quality connection? Because I tried the same thing at like 7 o'clock in the morning and my quality was awful,
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, they tweak it for them, like there's no way that guy actually can do that, those walkarounds or whatever, because the quality is just not always that great, you know what I mean? But this particular person seems to have like the greatest internet ever, when they're walking around. It's like, I tried to replicate that and couldn't get it done, but because it's just so difficult to get great, like you said, to get great internet. And I think it'll get there. I mean, so much of the technology's changed, and I think Starlink will be Starlink is totally different. Like I know a little bit about satellite stuff, and Starlink is totally different than what's out there today. It's a game. It's totally a game changer. So I think that has the greatest level of potential.
Well, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, more of the stuff than me. That's great to hear because, like I said, I still have the full-time job and I still have things to do, or you want to do lives or whatever. And once in a while, the internet, you're just like, oh, it was one day it works great, next day it's not working at all, and it's so frustrating, right?
Yeah, once upon a time I had a satellite. You talked about having a satellite thing. I actually was on the Carnival Dream with a satellite phone that I'd rented on the back of the ship at night. But we have a question though. Oh, we got 2 of them. And Rachel says, hi, Rachel. Thanks for connecting with us on YouTube. She says, I thought if Royal Caribbean will drop backs for sailing from Florida. So what do you think, Don? You want to tell her?
I don't. I mean, there's no reason they have that restriction. So right now, great question, Rachel. There's basically everywhere else they're not requiring it, but Florida. So that is interesting in itself. I would say probably soon. I think, I don't know if it's a political thing. Again, I don't have any insider thing. I don't know. Michael Bailey's not like on my bat phone over here, and I've gotten any comment from Royal Caribbean PR, but it is interesting that's the only like U.S. port that's still requiring it, right?
They do.
So like, why? I don't know. I would say soon. What do you think?
They still require it?
Yeah. LA doesn't. Galveston doesn't. So it's still, if you go to their website, it's essentially every U.S. port doesn't require adults to be vaccinated. You still have to get tested, but Florida still.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought I dropped it too.
So Rachel, you have a sailing on Mariner. I was on Mariner earlier this year in September. I think they're still going to require vaccination probably in September. I don't know. Maybe why they're not doing it is just very odd. Obviously, the most cruises they offer from Florida, which makes right. They don't have a big presence. They have Navigator out on the West Coast. Galveston, what do they have? I think 2 ships maybe that go out of Galveston. So Florida, obviously, between Port Canaveral, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami, they have more ships there. But yeah, it's a very interesting policy, and they're still one of the only cruise lines that you need to get tested if it's longer than 7 days, regardless of vaccination status. It's like shorter cruises, if you're vaxxed, you don't need to be tested, but longer cruises by a week or so you do. Whereas, like we said earlier, Carnival's is 16 days, I think, or Princess brand, like Carnival brands, or like if it's more than 2 weeks, they're going to test you beforehand. But it's a very unique like asterisk in their policy. I feel like I'm using that word a lot tonight, but it's a unique policy to have.
Yeah, see, I think I didn't read it that closely because I saw Carnival had changed their things, and it's been, there's been so much changing. But wow, and she's saying that she's ticked off because the August change kicked out her exemption request. Now we're scrambling, and I would definitely contact your travel agent and have them or whoever you're dealing with and purchase the cruise directly. I would contact them directly and have them work their magic to make sure you can do what you need to do, because there's always a way, but you have to have the right people working on your behalf. So good luck with that, Rachel, and thanks so much for checking with us. And I know your website and mine, we're going to keep updating people as we get news and information, because I think it is very fluid, and I think they've come up with these new policies. They're not all into effect yet, and they could easily change. Still have some days left here where they can update them and revise them, and because ultimately, I mean, they really do. They are very focused on making the guest happy, and they're trying to adjust things. But I'm guessing there's some reasons why they haven't.
Yeah, I'm just double checking that. So I was right with those, but they're claiming it might have to do with like the itineraries that they're going to. Certain islands in the Caribbean may require the ships to be at 90 or 95% vaccinated. You mentioned the old procedure of getting the special permission if you're not vaccinated, whereas some of these others they're making notes about like you need to be vaccinated if you go in particular Grand Cayman, whereas these other islands might not be. So it might not. I don't want to be dubious, being like, oh, Royal Caribbean is trying to stick it to people in Florida. It's not that. It might just be more like the destinations you're visiting, they're more likely to require people to be vaccinated or have that higher percentage. Remember, the CDC was 95 and it was 90. So just to make it easier for now. So once some of those talked about earlier, like Bermuda was like, no, we're going to keep the requirement. Then like a week later, they change it. I think once those islands start updating their policies, Royal will gladly want everyone on board because they do want to make money. So it's probably that, but they don't come right out and say it.
So Rachel writes something else. She says, we're planning on start our cruise review channel, media stuff as our family, but our COVID shuts down now. We're anxious to bring our plans back to life.
Do it, Rachel. Yeah. Go for it. I mean, we love doing it. Do it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And she's going on the Mariner September 24th. And I actually got married on the Mariner of the Seas in 2005. So that, and I actually talked about that one of the short, because they've updated the cruise, the Mariner of the Seas, and I want to bring my whole family on there, especially our youngest, because that's where her parents' life together started. So we're pretty excited about that, and hopefully we get to go on Mariner too, because we just think it's so cool. And I know Patty had a comment here, Don. She says, I'm going to Carnival Magic next week, and they sent an email this weekend saying they're having internet issues and giving onboard credit to anyone who already purchased a package. Oh, wow.
At least they're giving you your money back. At least I've been on ships where the line at the internet office is like longer than guest services because the internet's awful. And instead of just giving their passengers money back, the poor person is trying to help them with like your phone or your laptop. It's like, we're all experiencing bad internet, cruise line. Just give people their money back for that bit, right? Give them an onboard credit for the $20 because it's not working today. You know what I'm saying? But instead So I'm glad to see that they're being proactive. If they already know there'll be issues, they're just giving that. So kudos.
You almost made it sound like sometimes you'll wait till you get into a port that's your phone works, get off and you get like a 4G or higher connection, and you tie into your phone like Wi-Fi, like connect your laptop to your phone.
I've hotspotted before. Yeah, we purposely have T-Mobile because they had some of the best international plans as far as we get like up to 5 gigs of like high-speed internet internationally. I think in Mexico and Canada is included, like is the U.S. So, yeah, I think now you can hotspot most places. That's what we were doing when we were in Europe, but it still would just be nice to have it on the ship, right? You have to go through all these different manifestations.
Yeah, we had Sprint and then I went to T-Mobile, and we were really impressed because everybody always talked about how great T-Mobile was, and we've obviously cruised more since then, and it's been really good. So pretty awesome. And let's see, we got more. Oh, Rachel still says Bermuda still has a $40 passport for now. Not sure what she's talking about yet, but is there a special? Let's see here. Oh, she said.
A lot of countries, remember, even Bahamas did it when you had to go on adventure. They were doing like these health passports. I didn't know.
Oh, that's probably what we talk about. Yeah. I know Bermuda was really strict, right? And then
Bermuda was really restricted. When we went to the Bahamas, we had to do it. This was when cruising really started back in 21. So there were a couple places you had to do these online forms and pay a fee, but I don't know if Bermuda still required that or not. I would just check their website.
When we flew to Barbados, we had to do like an online thing for Barbados. There wasn't a fee though.
You and I, Barbados, when we did Viking, we had to do that online.
It really was. It wasn't bad. It just basically filled out a form, basically, but there was no fee, luckily. But it made it sound really strict, though. I remember I was telling you I had to jump through some hoops to get it done.
Well, you had to take that test if you remember. This is folks, and also read fine print about their testing requirement. It had to be not only proctored but administered by a healthcare professional. So it said right up front you couldn't do telemedicine, so you couldn't use the ones that are popular now, about Binex now, or whatever it is, where you dial in and you do it yourself. So Barbados said you didn't have to do that, but we went to Walgreens and the Walgreens person didn't administer it, and I guess they knew that because they questioned us and we said the truth, and they're like, "Oh, you have to take another test then." So we get stuck, even though we took the test and went through their protocols, because the person at Walgreens didn't stick it up our nose. We stuck it up our nose ourselves. So like these things have all kind of gone up and down.
I did. You might remember how I had to get off the ship, go to the airport, get a test at the airport, and then I had to get the approval, and then get on the plane, and then fly to Barbados to take that cruise. And it was interesting. But I think we'll all be happy when this whole testing is over, and it's just a really distant memory, and hopefully everybody happy, healthy, and we don't have to go down this road ever again. You know, this is something we got really good at, something we don't want to ever do again, right?
Right. Yeah. I just hope that this is the end, and we can just move forward. And most of all, I want people to be healthy and safe too. So I think the cruise lines did an admirable job. I know more people now are interested. Some people didn't want to do it because of the vaccination or the testing, but I think it kind of had to be done to get cruising back up and running. And now we've moved so much further along, and so has like the pandemic. So next year, I think will be even bigger and brighter than 2019 was, and hopefully there's a lot of great new ships, and people will be back to cruising at their regular clip without worrying about any of these additional protocols.
Yeah, and we've got Rachel saying hopefully we can all be sail forward, happy, and healthily. I can't speak today, and but really appreciate Rachel, and like I said, she said she did it all inclusive, and then Teresa Franklin from YouTube saying, is it still required if you do not plan on getting off the ship? Or it is still required if you do not, I think they're making everybody get tested. It sounds like.
Yeah, for some of those itineraries, like Canada, for example, you have to get a test. Even if you say, I'm not going to get off, like you still.
Yeah. They're not even going to go down that road. They're like, everybody get tested. And so I think we've got all our questions here. So I guess we'll wrap it up here. I know we've gone pretty long here, but thank you all to Rachel and Jeff and everybody, Mike, so many great people. Hopefully, this is the first of many times we can all meet together and talk about what's going on in our cruising life. We'll share our news, we'll share our experiences with everyone, how exciting it is for the future of cruising. Like I said, there's so much going on. If you haven't booked a cruise, go book a cruise. I think the reasons why not to are slowly falling by the wayside. But do you have any a tip that's something you've been doing more lately any kind of cruise tip to leave everybody with, Don?
That we've been doing lately?
Pack less? I don't know.
We're getting a little bit better at packing. We're awful. We're way over packers. And I think the travel, it's like, all right, well.
So who's the worst packer, you or Heidi? Does Heidi pack more or do you pack more?
Well, it used to be Heidi, but I think I've gotten worse.
Are you high maintenance?
Maybe I'm a little more high maintenance. I don't know what it is. So I think my number one tip always is to anyone, and we were talking about technology stuff, is get the app, go online, plan as much as you can beforehand, especially now with, as we're saying, some of these protocols are changing. It might be the departure port. You might need a test in certain locations, may not. Vaccination requirements differ not. If you have the cruise line app, you have your thing there, you can get that information, and then you can book your things. You can see your shore excursions, all your tours. More and more stuff is happening digitally for all these cruise lines. Some do it better than others, but the first thing you should always have is get the cruise line app and make sure all your information there is right. Make sure your name and all your stuff is right there too, and then utilize the app as much as possible. That's what I would say now more than ever. It's important to have that and to be ahead of it in case things do change. In case you get an email, like we've gotten emails literally a couple days before some of our more, maybe the trips end of last year, but where things literally changed the week before. So you got to stay on top of your email and as well as any notifications from the cruise line.
Yeah, that's great news, because I think it was actually sailing with you one time. You had said, did you know about this? Did you know about that? And I think I was almost kind of like on a different point, but I used to really be like the person that looked at every little thing, and I would totally analyze, kind of like what you described. I would look at the complete deck plan. I would research everything, read everything in detail. And I think part of me was like, not necessarily the last cruise necessarily, but some of the other ones where I would kind of go, I'm just going to go in there with fresh eyes. But I think if you don't do your research, if you don't maybe explore the app 100% or know everything, all the features of the ship and every little nook and corner, you might miss something, because these ships are massive, and you easily can walk by something and not know about a certain venue that if you just weren't overly informed, because it's overwhelming sometimes when you first get on board with so much coming at you, especially like an Oasis class ship or some of the bigger ones. I mean, they're all really large nowadays. So yeah, do a little bit of homework is what I'm saying, because it's maybe you're busy with family and you're worried about packing rather than kind of doing some cruise homework and looking up, menus or deck plans or what have you. But yeah, take a moment to actually do that. Definitely get set up with the app. A great idea. So yeah, I think, it's because I think you talking kind of reminded me of something, because, there's nothing worse when you're with somebody and you're with a group and you're talking, they're like, did you see that? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
well, I always we'll be on a ship and never we'll be at a bar or a location, and you hear someone else like, oh, so this is where that is. It's like, this is like day 5 of the cruise. You didn't know where like the sports bar was or this like restaurant. Like, you're discovering it, and it's always like, how much more have you missed? And maybe some people are fine, but we're those like rope drop to close people. We want to try all the bars, try all the restaurants, make sure we get all the shows, and it's always on a trip. You're just sitting there and you just hear someone. So this is where that like just lost in the woods. Like, where am I? It's like, you've been on the ship for a while now, and you're just discovering this. So don't be that person. Like, and maybe you don't want to do everything, but at least kind of know what your options are.
Yeah, just do a little bit of homework. Because it is a little overwhelming, and I think some of us, maybe you want to go on a vacation experience, sometimes you don't check out a little bit, and maybe you don't do that homework because you get distracted, compared to someone that prioritizes it like yourself, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think I'm just laughing at myself because it's happened to me too. It's like, yeah, you have to like do that, but yeah, great stuff. We'll save more for the future. This has been great. Thank you all. I tell you what, we've had this pretty much the same audience watching us live. I know this is available for a replay. Definitely give us the thumbs up. Support what we're doing here. I'm really hoping to go a full-time YouTuber one day. I know Don is a regular full-time YouTuber. I mean, that's, so, but we look forward to bringing Norwegian information from Norwegian Prima. Don, safe travels. If I don't talk to you, I know it's coming up quick. And I think we have 2 more comments here. Let's see. We'll try to get more here. Jeff says hello. Let's see. Yeah, Rachel. Oh, Rachel says she always misses the activities, and then yeah, Jeff says that's why I get on the ship ASAP, and in the morning have a couple of hours to explore. Yeah, and try to be on I like to get on board too. What's that? Someone trying to gambling. But I try to get on as early as I can, if possible. I don't like hurt myself trying to do it, but if you can, because I want to be like those people,
How would you get hurt?
Where you're like, I really need to get on board. Like, I gotta get on board first.
Well, that's the reason for the app, because now with staggered embarkation, folks, like the earlier you check in on the app, the more likely you are to get one of those one of the first boarding groups. So another reason why you should have the app and do things early, because you're more likely to get on the ship early. And
Teresa said she's going on the Norwegian Prima too. Yeah, we can't wait, Teresa. So I know you're celebrating with us. Now I tell you, when you get priority boarding, like the faster to the fun with Carnival, or if you just say that Don, and they let you on board earlier, you're completely ruined. I have had a suite when we got married. We had a suite, and you get priority boarding too. Teresa says 10 out of 10. I'm not sure. Teresa, what 10 out of 10? What? She rated
the Prima, I guess, or
I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to leave that for the next show. Teresa, let us know what you're talking about. But thank you all so much for watching us. I tell you what a great first show. Maybe we'll put a name of this. Maybe you can help us come up with the name of the show here. We really appreciate it. There's still this is talk about interaction. This is great. She's going in October. So until we see each other again, be safe and happy cruising. And Don, I'm gonna leave it with you for the last words.
Oh, don't give me the last words. Well, thanks. I echo everything John said. And if you don't already follow John, of course, Cruise Addicts everywhere, and DB from Eat Sleep Cruise. And we'll see you guys on board.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.